Washington, President Donald Trump declared on Monday that the United States faced growing competition from Russia and China, two great power rivals that he said seek to challenge U.S. influence, values and wealth. But Trump, in presenting a new national security strategy that carried distinct echoes of the Cold War, said nothing about Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, even though the official strategy document itself warns briefly of Russia using information tools in an attempt to undermine the legitimacy of democracies. Trump referred instead to a Sunday telephone call from Russian President Vladimir Putin, who thanked him for intelligence that the CIA had passed on to Russian authorities, which Trump said foiled a terrorist attack in St. Petersburg that could have killed thousands of people. "That's a great thing," he said, "and the way it's supposed to work." Trump broke with his two most recent predecessors, Presidents Barack Obama and George W. Bush, in announcing the national security strategy himself. But his speech seemed oddly divorced from the 55-page document, a blueprint for U.S. policy on issues including jihadi extremism, space exploration, bio-threats and pandemics. Speaking to an audience that included cabinet members and military officers, the president delivered a campaign-like address, with calls to build a wall along the nation's southern border with Mexico and a heavy dose of self-congratulation for the bull market, the low jobless rate and tax cuts, which he said were days away. "America is in the game," he said. "And America is going to win." Trump's tone was decidedly more upbeat than the analysis in his own strategy. While he spoke of surging confidence and a fast-growing economy, the document describes a world that has been on a 3-decade holiday from superpower rivalry and suggests that holiday is over. After being dismissed as a phenomenon of an earlier century, great power competition returned, the document says. It then tries to lend intellectual coherence to a foreign policy that is often defined by Trump's Twitter messages or his gut instincts about which world leaders are strong, which are weak and which are prepared to cut a deal. While the document's description of pushing back against China on trade is familiar from the campaign, its description of the challenge posed by Russia seems at odds with Trump's own refusal to criticize Putin for his seizure of Crimea, efforts to destabilize Ukraine and his violations of a key nuclear treaty with the United States. In fact, the document describes Russia's behavior in far more critical terms than Trump himself did. China and Russia, the document says, are determined to make economies less free and less fair, to grow their militaries, and to control information and data to repress their societies and expand their influence. These competitions require the United States to rethink the policies of the past 2 decades, policies based on the assumption that engagement with rivals and their inclusion in international institutions and global commerce would turn them into benign actors and trustworthy partners, the document continues. For the most part, this premise turned out to be false,